This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Good. Whoa, that is really loud.
That is.
Good
wow.
God. Hang
Both
on
of
a
us.
second. I don't know what happened.
Some bass going there, too.
God dang. How about now? Is that better?
That's better.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I was screwing around with this for
okay.
this board. My in-laws are like, hey, can you, I guess I should test it when I hook it back up, because I took this to my in-laws because they're like, hey, can you do karaoke? I'm like, well, the only way I can run mics is to bring my board with me.
Yeah.
And so I had everything cranked way up because their speakers weren't very loud there, so I forgot to crank it back down. So if we blew your eardrums out, I apologize. Let's try again. Good evening, Sunday, whatever this is.
Yes.
Happy end of the weekend. This is your weekend wrap-up on the Break the Bell podcast. As always, we are here to wrap up your week in the news.
Yes. Hello, beautiful bell breakers.
The bad thing is I can't even cut that out is because it's got all my intro music and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
So it's just going to be blasted in
Yeah.
somebody's ears.
So, sorry.
Sorry,
And
we apologize in the future and in the past and in the present. We just apologize for being us. It's just what we are. It's
It
what we
is.
do. We can't
It is.
change. We
Yeah.
try to change. We try to be better, but it just hasn't worked out for
we
us.
come back to this.
Yes, we we just keep finding ourselves in this shitty spot where we're just bad. So that's all right. We keep pushing forward.
Yes.
We can't change now. I mean,
No.
people come to expect a certain standard of shittiness from us. So.
Exactly. We gotta uphold that bar.
Yes, exactly. So, how's everybody doing out there in the great internet world?
Yes.
Isn't it crazy that we can? I mean, we don't, but we could ideally reach thousands of people
Yes. Ideally.
from our basement right here.
Yes.
Just like we live in amazing times where I just hit a button and we have the potential of
Yeah.
reaching like thousands of people. So we
Yeah.
need thousands of people to listen to us potentially.
Yes.
So
And the romantic in me believes that someday, when
Someday.
we're gone, we will.
yeah, someday, sometime we
Somebody
will reach.
will run across our videos and be
Can
like,
you imagine?
"Whoa,
Isn't
check this
that
out."
that's even weird to think about? Like in the future, somebody could come across our content
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, this is like
Yeah.
this is like a piece of history. This is
Right.
like
Yeah.
and I mean it's kind of scary and sad.
In,
That
in a way, yes. Yeah.
it's like this is what people will come to find someday. So you're zoomed way out too. I don't know what's going on in the world today. So how's everybody doing out there? I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Hope you're getting some early Halloween festivities in the
Yeah.
way we did last night, from
Yes.
what I vaguely remember.
Yes.
And when I say vaguely, I mean very vaguely remember.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, we did test the who would win in a battle between a Viking and pirate.
who did win? I don't remember.
I think we just stopped.
I think we're
because-
just like well, your sword broke, so
Yeah, that's
technically I
true.
think
Yes,
I would have won.
that's true.
So apparently pirate swords don't hold up to Viking battle axes.
no,
so-
and I would believe that.
yeah, I would too. So and Vikings have shields normally too,
That's
and
true.
pirates are
Pirates
stupid
don't.
and don't carry shields.
Well, but we're fast on our feet.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. Fancy footwork.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So that was our weekend. We had a banger of a
Yes.
Halloween party.
Good
and,
times.
And the whiskey was flowing, the tequila
Yes.
was flowing.
Yes,
and
that's a good combo.
Yeah, depends on your idea,
Yeah.
your definition of good
Yes.
combo, but it
Well,
was fun.
in the moment.
Yes.
Today was definitely a recovery day.
Yeah, it didn't take me long. The way you recover the best from a banger of a Halloween party is with really good coffee,
Mhm.
and brings me to my sponsor, who
Nice
is
segue.
the official coffee of Run Your Mouth, or the official coffee of the Break the Bell podcast. That's Run Your Mouth Coffee. Man, I'm going to get this shit together today. Run Your Mouth Coffee makes delicious hangover cure that can be delivered straight to your door. So, I mean, you don't even have to like put
Yeah.
on pants to get your coffee.
Right.
You just go to rymcoffee.com and you get coffee, and then you wake up one day with a massive hangover, and there you have coffee.
Yeah.
And you never had to put pants on in the process.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that should be a selling point as is.
Oh,
It's like,
absolutely.
not like, forget about the part that they support your freedom of speech, all your individual rights, but just the fact alone that you don't have to put on pants to get your coffee.
No, that's ideal because I didn't put pants on until I came over here.
I mean, I'm still wearing the sweatpants that I wore for my costume and apparently never took off last night. So that's how far I've come.
I'm disappointed you took your Viking beard beads
That was
out.
like the first thing I woke up. I was like, oh, I managed to get those out successfully without
that
like
is-
ripping out beard hairs or something. So
That is impressive.
That is impressive. Anyway, Run Your Mouth Coffee, as I briefly mentioned, they support your right to free speech, your right to be able to run your mouth and not get censored from the interwebs, not get ostracized from humanity as we know it. They support your rights, so you should support them. So go to rymcoffee.com, tell them we sent you by using the promo code BreakTheBell, and you'll get 10% off your purchase plus free shipping, and you never had to put on pants. That's it.
That's amazing.
rymcoffee.com. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. You can find us on all the main ones at our handle, which is at Break the Bell Pod. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Share that shit far and wide so we can reach the thousands that we ideally want to hit in our lifetime. So make sure you share that around because we will love you for it, just like we already love you. So maybe we'll love you a little harder for doing it. So share it. Like it, subscribe, all that fun, happy shit we tell you to do. Check out our merch store at breakthebell.bigcartel.com, or you can find links to that at breakthebellpod.com. You get access to awesome shirts like our I Won't Eat Your Bug shirt, our We Are Not Your Pawn shirt, as you can see on the screen if you're watching. If not, go check it out, and then you'll be able to see those things. We got our logo all over a bunch of merch and then some other shit. So it's awesome. Christmas is coming up, and why not treat your family right to some amazing Break the Bell merch so they can ask questions like, why did you buy me this? And you can say, because the ideals that the Break the Bell podcast push you need in your life. And then
That's
you'll
right.
have this really uncomfortable conversation at your
Yes. And then you'll
Christmas
show them
party.
some clips of us screwing shit up, and then they'll be like,
Maybe we should check them out too. Or they'd be like, get the fuck out. That's
Exactly.
probably more than likely
Yeah,
it.
that is.
Never invite him to Christmas again. But definitely check that out at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. It's awesome merch. You should definitely check it out.
Definitely.
Let's get right into this episode.
Yes, there's a
right
lot
into
going
the
on.
stories. Yes. Starting out, I titled this episode "Dirty, Dirty Bombs" because it sounds dirty. And apparently there is some serious talk of dirty bombs going on right now. We talked about like the possibility of like nuclear Armageddon
Yes.
a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
And I think both of us thought that if it were to happen, it would be an unsanctioned dirty bomb.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, most likely. Well, now Russia has come out and is warning against a potential false flag from Ukraine involving a dirty, dirty bomb. So we got that to look forward to.
Yeah.
And the part that makes me feel like this is more legit and not just like Putin running his mouth, like false propaganda or whatever. Well, obviously they're going to do this, is because of who he told this to. He like went to the U.S. and didn't go to, but he called up the U.S. and the British defense minister, and there was a few other, but his arch enemies, he called
Right.
him up and was like, this is looking a little bad here. I
Yeah.
think Ukraine's going to set off a dirty bomb. You should be aware of that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he brought that to our attention, I feel like might lend it
Yeah.
some legitimacy.
No, that definitely makes it scary.
So let's get this one up. This is from Zero Hedge. It says, a major new and sensational charge of a Ukrainian false flag plot in the making issued by Russian defense chief has set off a string of tit-for-tat accusations and statements on Sunday. Why can't they just call it tit-for-tit? I'd prefer
right? I know.
tit-for-tit over tit-for-tat.
Much more attractive.
Like, who gives the tit, who gives the tat in this
Exactly.
situation? Because I don't want to give a tit and then only get a tat back.
No, that's pretty lame.
I mean, yeah. Depends on the tat, I guess.
Or the tit.
If that's fair. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu claimed in rare phone calls that included his counterparts from the U.S., Britain, France, and Turkey that Ukrainian forces are preparing a provocation with a radioactive device. A Kremlin statement cited that he conveyed a warning over possible Ukrainian provocations involving a dirty bomb. Shoigu's office said in a follow-up that he conveyed the warning to all the above-named countries' defense chiefs. As for his conversation with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, it was the second phone call in merely 3 days. The Pentagon, in hours after, said Austin told Shoigu he rejected any pretext for Russian escalation, which strongly suggests the U.S. perceives that Moscow is about to heighten attacks on Ukrainian cities further. So, Russia defense minister comes to Lloyd Austin and is like, look, it's looking really bad. They're going to set off a dirty bomb. And Lloyd Austin's response is, don't escalate this any further. It's like, well, if they do set off a dirty bomb, you can bet your ass they're going to escalate. Or if it really gets to the point where it's really looking plausible that it's going to happen, yeah, they're going to escalate shit.
Yeah.
The Kremlin is further charging that this low-intensity nuclear provocation is being prepared with the help of Great Britain. However, the Western allies have said no evidence whatsoever was presented in the phone calls alongside the accusations. Well, obviously, they're not going to give the evidence because then they're going to find out how they got that evidence, and then they're going to cut that line of communication, shut it down.
Whoever that whistleblower is going to be disappeared.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think of his accusation that Britain is in on this?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, Great Britain does seem to be kind of the instigator of the world, right? WMDs.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, they're the ones that started shouting out about Russia going into Ukraine to begin with.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot before leading up to the attacks. We're like, Britain's really trying to push this attack narrative here. So it says the Kremlin is further I already read that one, I think. Yep. The UK Defense Ministry said in its statement following Shoigu's phone call with Secretary Ben Wallace. I know Ben Wallace.
I think Ben Wallace used to play football.
Not the Ben Wallace I know. So is this the Saints Ben Wallace? Is this
that would be impressive if it was
my friend Ben Wallace, or who's this Secretary Ben Wallace? Where did I get? Where am I? The UK Defense Ministry said in a statement following the phone call with Secretary Ben Wallace that the Russian side alleged Ukraine was planning actions facilitated by Western countries, including the UK, to escalate the conflict in Ukraine. So they're saying he's just saying all this to ramp things up. Russia is saying that such a dirty bomb detonation, which would spread radioactive waste and potentially contaminate large urban areas, would be blamed on Moscow in order to justify greater Western intervention.
Absolutely.
That absolutely is what would happen.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, well, we didn't do that.
Right.
Where are they going to set it? Are they going to set it off in their own country of Ukraine, though? Because that seems really stupid. But, I mean, it is Zelensky.
I was going to say.
He would be the one to do it to get claim to fame for some reason.
And, I mean, you know, they clean out, say, Kiev or whatever, and then they set it off, and I don't know. It's stupidity.
Russia set off a dirty bomb right in the middle of Kiev. Fortunately, nobody was present at the time because everybody was on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing to see here. It says, Ukraine, for its part, blasted what the presidency's office called an absolute and quite predictable absurdity and a blatant lie. Obviously, they're going to say that.
Of course.
France, too, agreed with Ukraine's assessment, and a statement from the French Foreign Ministry has ominously warned that the crisis is trending towards uncontrollable escalation. But Macron on Sunday admitted that peace is possible, yet it depends on when the Ukrainians decide it. So he's kind of putting it back on the Ukrainians.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, it is possible that we have peace, but it's kind of got to be on you guys.
Right. You
when
guys
do you
gotta
want
be
peace?
the ones.
When would you like peace? Let's see. So that's an interesting statement from Macron because last week he was kind of, or
He slammed Biden.
He slammed Biden
Yeah.
during the nuclear
right.
stuff.
He's like, look, man, you need to just chill.
Yeah, back off a little. Let's not get all nuclear Armageddon here because this is getting out of hand. And he's kind of raising the same concern here, saying that this is heading towards an uncontrollable escalation. So he seems to be the one leader that doesn't want World War III
Yeah, right.
of the Western world.
Yeah, so it's surprising that he's still in office.
It really is, or alive.
Yeah.
Says, meanwhile, Zelensky's own rhetoric urging Western military intervention has escalated as well,
Of course.
all of which strongly suggests the war will soon grow hotter. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to deal with.
Yeah.
That's the latest Ukraine-Russian news. Do you think it's legit? Do you think they're planning a dirty bomb, false flag, or you think this is just Putin trying to excuse his escalation?
I don't know. I would like to say that I think it's just them blowing smoke. You know, maybe Putin just trying to make Ukraine. I would like to think that, but people do stupid things for power and money.
Yeah.
You know?
And war is stupid.
And I mean, there's nothing stupider than, a dirty nuke because, like they said, it's the radiation it gives off is far worse than, a sanctioned nuke, which is just as bad, but it's not that
And
bad.
it's so much dirtier.
It is so dirty.
We don't need no dirty bombs. We like our clean nuclear bombs,
We
not
do.
our dirty ones.
Absolutely.
So,
Keep it on the up and up.
isn't a dirty bomb just like? Isn't it usually just like the leftover nuclear waste turned into another bomb or something like
yeah,
that?
basically that, and it's the uranium's not as processed, and so it's not as focused. So when it releases, it's much more potent.
Okay, I gotcha. So either way, it doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good for anybody.
So
And like you said, a strong wind comes through, and whoever that's hitting, I mean, it's fucked.
So what does the U.S. do if it does come? Not if it happens, but if they find out that the Ukraine is planning to use this. If they find out this is true, do we keep supporting them in this, or what do we do?
I mean, logic would say no, but nothing
But
they've
do
done
we,
is
though?
logical,
But do they though? Do
Yeah.
they keep sending them?
Probably.
So I
mean,
saw that the Senate was trying to pass another $50 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was last weekend. We play
was.
that video
Yeah.
of Zelensky
saying this is what
begging
his
for
operating costs
like-
were for the year.
He was requesting $5 billion.
Yeah.
So we're like, we see your $5 billion and we
Yeah.
raise it $50
Yeah,
billion.
it was ridiculous. He's like a kid asking for money to go out with his friends. He's like, well, and it's going to cost this much for this and this much for
We
that.
need to
so
go
we
to the
really need
movies
this
and we
much.
need popcorn
Right, yeah.
and we need some late night snacks
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, we
So-
gotta have something to drink.
And so this parent was like, well, how's $1,000 sound?
yeah,
Is that
right,
enough?
Yeah, yeah exactly.
It's just like the rich out of touch parent
Absolutely.
that's just like, well, I don't know what the cost of movies is. It's probably about $1,000, right?
Yeah.
Here you go.
And everybody that you mentioned that their defense guy contacted are all countries that would love to see escalation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Except
it's
France.
right. So the fact that this information ever came out is really surprising to me.
Yeah. So let's move on. We're still overseas, though.
Yeah.
We had talked sooner than I expected to be talking about this again, that the UK got a new prime minister because Boris
Yeah.
Johnson stepped down or
Right.
got ousted or whatever. Well, the newest one has also been let go.
Yes.
So this is like a very short turnaround rate
Yeah.
for you don't have really high job security in the field of UK prime minister's role because
Yeah.
apparently the standards are really high, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what's going on in UK that they can't keep a leader?
Yeah. No, I feel like they're very they're Tory people, right? They're have a very select agenda, and if you don't fall into that agenda, you're out.
Which ones are the Tories? Are they the liberal or
They're
ones?
actually the more
Or are
conservative
they the
ones.
conservative
yeah.
ones? Okay. So apparently, people are saying that this Liz Truss's resignation is a sign that the Republicans over here might lose the election.
Yes, I saw that.
I'm not really sure what UK politics have anything to do with ours, but
yeah, well,
or how they're coming to this conclusion, looking at what we've talked
Yeah.
about last
well,
week on our.
It's funny because we did that show where we talked about kind of the shift towards populism
Mhm.
in Europe, And so this is like trying to come back towards that, saying, look, these policies aren't really going to work.
Well. Boris Johnson was a populist, though, and he got the boot, but because he was an idiot.
Yeah, I was going to say he was a jackass.
Yeah, but side note, when Liz Truss resigned, they're going to have new elections. Boris Johnson decided to throw his
That's hilarious.
his name in the hat again.
He's like, I'm still here.
Is he not like the UK's version, like really poor off-brand version of Donald Trump?
I think so.
He's
Yes.
just like, I'm gonna make a comeback. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the Donald Trump of the UK, and it's just like, realize that's
Yeah.
not gonna work. First of all,
I'm going to have the bigliest win.
yes,
In a British accent.
yes.
It's going to be a bloody bigly win.
It's like, just stop, dude.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, have you seen the British remakes of American
Oh,
TV
yeah.
shows? It never works
No,
out. So,
No, they haven't had a really good British show since Benny Hill.
anyway, let's get back to this. Because this article from MSNBC, so this is going
Yes.
to really be a good one. Truss resignation in the UK should have Republicans' attention. Liz Truss tried to address high inflation with unnecessary tax breaks for the wealthy. As she resigns, Republicans in the U.S. have a similar plan. This is just them grasping at straws against the
Oh, yeah.
Republicans when they know they see the writing on the wall.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just hoping.
They're trying to get their viewership people to be like, yeah, that's right.
When George Canning's tenure as British Prime Minister ended after just 119 days, see, look at this freaking turnaround rate. Just 119 days in the early 19th century, he had a good excuse. Canning died while in office.
Wow, that's a hell of a segue.
Liz Truss will break his record with ease and earn a more ignominious place in history in the process. So it's like the shortest before now was this guy, and he died.
Yeah.
Liz Truss didn't die, and hers will be shorter.
Yeah. She doesn't have a good reason.
That was a nice intro there.
Yeah.
The outgoing prime minister, just 45 days into her tenure, announced her resignation today and will leave office after conservatives choose her successor. The news marks a new chapter in extraordinarily tumultuous period in the British politics. Like, what is going on?
Right.
Like, what was so bad that they're like, no, you're not good. You got to go. Why did they vote for her in the first place? If they
They knew who she was. I
Yeah.
mean, she was a well-known conservative
right.
in Parliament. So,
Well, maybe she went into office and they realized you can't just change shit overnight.
Right.
And they're like,
Yeah.
the people still are pissed off. You got to go.
well, and it's not like they're part of the EU, right? So it's not like they have that kind of pressure coming down on them.
Right. It says, but as Truss prepares to exit the stage in embarrassing fashion, let's not lose sight of the agenda that doomed her government. Truss, 47, promised a radical shift in Britain's economic fortunes.
She's 47.
Yeah.
Man, it's things like that that make me feel like I did nothing with my life.
Yeah, she's the prime minister of
I
Britain.
know,
and
right?
you're sitting in a basement talking into a microphone. Truss, 47, promised a radical shift in Britain's economic fortunes, turning it into a low-tax, high-growth country that would unleash its post-Brexit potential. In practice, Trussonomics was an utter failure
Wow.
and would become her political epitaph. Epitaph. There you go. I can't read today, or most days. The outgoing prime minister, after taking office 6 weeks ago, unveiled what she saw as a brilliant idea. As Britain struggled with high inflation, Truss unveiled an economic plan built around tax breaks for the wealthy, which would have made inflation vastly worse.
So do you feel like it's truly tax breaks for the wealthy, or it's just tax breaks for everybody?
Yeah, and
they just-
would that have made inflation truly worse? What are they measuring that off of?
Yeah, exactly.
It says the proposal was not well received. The disastrous vision sent the value of the pound plunging. Borrowing costs soared, and the Central Bank of England scrambled to put together an emergency intervention plan to prevent further catastrophe. The International Monetary Fund found it necessary to reprimand the Prime Minister for pushing such a ridiculous and counterproductive economic agenda.
And that's the problem. You got the fucking IMF sitting there and being like, no, that's not a good idea, so we're going to fine you for stupidity.
Well, first of all, if every world leader that came out was like, guys, I got an idea, and people are like, that's stupid. If that damned them, I mean, we wouldn't have any leaders at all
Right.
because they all do it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all she had to do was be like, okay, I hear you. Let's not do
Yeah.
that. The fact that caused the price of the pound and their stock and everything to
Right.
crash. I feel like something was at work here.
Yeah,
more
something
than
else
just
is
her
in the works.
statement.
Yeah, because what she's talking about is, I mean, it's Reaganomics, right?
Mhm.
Reagan did it in the 80s. It seemed
Bush
to work
did
good.
it,
Bush
yeah.
did it. I mean, it's something that conservatives over here continue to do whenever they get into office. And no matter what your opinion is, some people feel it works, some people that don't. But for it to affect their economy that much, like I agree with you. Something
Overnight
else,
like
yeah,
that? Yeah,
something
the-
else was working.
And the fact that the IMF's like, we reprimand you for that. It's like,
Yeah.
first of all, who are you to reprimand
Exactly.
a sitting
Yeah, right.
world leader?
The IMF, I put in the same category as the WEF
Yeah.
and the World Health Organization.
Yep. Says, faced with few choices, Truss abandoned the plan, but by then it was too late. And the chaos her government had created ultimately proved unsustainable. Closer to home, however, the response from the right in the United States was problematic. A few weeks ago, Media Matters reported right-wing media figures are toasting UK Prime Minister Liz Truss. Massive tax cuts geared towards the wealthy as potential model for the US if Republicans return to power. The report added, "I love what Liz Truss is doing in England." Perpetually wrong right-wing economics commentator Stephen Moore said during a Monday appearance on Fox Business. "I think it is exactly the right agenda of cutting taxes." The former Trump advisor added that Truss is doing exactly what the U.S. should be doing and predicted that the cavalry is coming if GOP dominates in November midterm elections. In other words, conservative media figures saw Tories try to deal with high inflation with a plan that would make inflation worse, and their immediate response was to effectively declare, without a hint of sarcasm, "Great idea." Now, the ironic part here is, do you remember this thing called the Inflation Reduction Act? And-
yes.
And how
Yeah.
that idea
Yep.
did nothing to affect inflation, but actually potentially made inflation worse?
Yeah.
Do you see kind of the hypocrisy here?
Yeah.
So, like, the Republicans want to do this thing that's going to make it worse. It's just like, what has the Democrats been doing for the last 2
Yeah.
years
Right.
besides making inflation worse?
Yeah.
It was against the backdrop that the Washington Post reported this week. I don't want to read that. That's really long. Let's get to the point here. Basically, they're saying a lot of nothing. Basically, they're saying don't vote for Republicans because they're going to do the same thing Liz Truss wanted to do. They praised Liz Truss for it, so don't vote
Yeah.
for them. It's making it sound like Republicans don't have a leg to stand on if they're going that way, but it's
Right.
more like begging you not to vote Republican. It's like,
Yeah.
do you really want the Liz
Yeah.
Truss here?
Right. It was disastrous for Britain. It's going to be disastrous for us.
Yeah, their stocks plunged overnight. Well, the fact that you're saying this means our stocks should plunge every time the Republicans
Yeah.
make these same statements.
Right.
When
yeah.
that Twitter post came out or the New York Post article came out that said we need this, why didn't our stock tank
Right.
immediately? Our dollar
Yeah.
tank immediately?
Yeah.
What that didn't happen that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, the dollar has been plummeting, but not for that reason.
Well, and again, you got to think like by her simply saying she's going to cut taxes caused interest rates to go up. I mean, that just again, it just doesn't make sense here.
Well, all they're saying is, I mean, all this is just them saying, "Oh, this Republican said they like Truss's idea."
which was disastrous for her. She's out because
Do
of
we
these
really
ideas.
want to
Right.
vote for these people?
Yeah. Do
Look
you-
what happened there.
Yeah.
Well,
do you
first,
want to trust them with your economy?
first of all, do we need to compare what happens in America to what
Right.
happens in
In
Great Britain?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I say no. They don't have a lot going on over there that we're like that we should do that.
Right. Well, and like you said, you know, when you look at the Inflation Reduction Act, I mean, that's done jack shit for the economy. You know.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to vote for Republicans because they're spouting bad ideas for our economy? It's like, what about the bad ideas that have been going
Yeah,
on for our
exactly.
economy for the last 2 years?
Right.
Do we want to really keep giving that a second chance?
Right.
It's like, how long do we keep
Yeah.
okay, just wait, just hold on, it's coming. Good things are just hold on a little longer, a little longer. The one thing that I do like, and this is actually the thing I agree with AOC. Like, there's one thing I actually agree with AOC because she came
That's
out
miraculous.
when Liz Truss resigned. She's like, because one of her followers was like, this whole Liz Truss thing is an embarrassment to the UK, and it's shameful. And AOC is like, well, the U.S. has much more to be shameful about than the U.K. ever has.
Yeah.
And she's like, I do like the turnaround rate of if you don't like a leader, you can get them out like right away instead of waiting 4 fucking years.
Right.
Well, in 4 years, I guess we could try. How much can you tank in 4 years?
Right.
Maybe they preemptively jumped the gun, and that's why I think that there's more to this because how often do you hear like one idea that people are like, oh my God, that's a terrible shit idea. And then all of a sudden it's just like, this is cause for resignation. It's like, that never happens. So there's got to be more. But I do like the fact that when somebody is so shitty, you can just be like, you're gone.
Yeah.
Instead of all this like drawn out process. Well, you can impeach them, but that's going to probably take the 4 fucking years that they're going to be in office anyway.
And when their party is the one that's in power, the chances that they're getting impeached is slim to none.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, maybe that would be a good thing, but maybe it would be a bad thing because, I mean, I feel like there could be a lot of government chaos. Like, how long before a government collapses when you can't keep a leader in office for more than a month?
You become the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you hear of other countries that the president just like up and quit, and then the whole country just collapses into chaos.
Right.
It's
You
like
got different regimes trying to come into power, wars started out. I mean, So, you're
so
right.
how long before Great Britain gets to that point when it's like, if man, you guys can't keep a freaking a leader to save your lives
You're the Cleveland Browns of the
of the world. Yes, nobody wants to be the Cleveland Browns of the world. Nobody wants to be the Cleveland Browns of Cleveland.
Right.
All right, let's move forward. Let's talk about other stupid world leaders. Mostly Justin Trudeau. He's my favorite stupid asshole of
He's
a
the
world
other one
leader.
that needs to go.
Yeah, why doesn't Canada have a policy where they can? I mean, they're part of the Commonwealth. You think they'd have
Absolutely.
kind of the similar government structure that they could just be like, I don't like this. You got to go.
Yeah.
Because the most recent news is that Justin Trudeau has banned all handgun sales in the U.S. or in the U.S. in Canada.
That's insane.
It is. All of them.
Yeah.
Not like by means of a Congress vote or anything.
Yeah.
He used basically his presidential pen and signed it into action. Like,
That's a hell
no
thing
more.
to sign out.
Right. Could you imagine if Biden did
Oh
that?
my gosh.
It's like no
Civil
more
War.
handgun. Yeah, exactly. Using mass shooting events in the U.S. So not even his own country.
Yeah.
He's using United
Yeah.
States as an
See
example.
what happens down there.
You see what happens when we just allow handguns to roam the streets?
Yeah. Our
Mass
country is not
shootings.
about that.
Yes. I'm sorry, but using mass shooting events in the U.S. as an excuse, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been tinkering. Why is this so squeaky tonight?
Yeah,
Gosh,
this week you need some WD-40.
I know. He's been tinkering with the idea of banning or freezing firearms in Canada since this summer, and now it appears he is ready to take unilateral measures. Trudeau is placing a nationwide freeze on the sale, purchase, and transfer of handguns, effective immediately, and sidestepping legislators and political opponents in Parliament. Do you see this backfiring on him possibly?
Yeah, a
Our-
little bit.
But our Canadians, do they have the balls to actually step up like Americans would
Yeah,
and do something about it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
look at all the policies like the COVID restrictions. I mean,
Right.
you had Canadians like sending warning signs across the river.
Right, yeah, help us.
Yeah, please, we're prisoners in our own
Yeah.
country. Says the measure is considered an administrative action, much like executive orders used by presidents in the U.S., as a means to circumvent the Constitution and checks and balances in the government. Such direct restrictions are often subject to extensive legal obstacles, and at least in the U.S. can be ignored by states and the public at large, as we witnessed with the COVID mandates over the past 2 years. When people are being killed, when people are being hurt, responsible leadership requires us to act, Trudeau said at a news conference on Friday.
It's not even his country.
No.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't even cite like mass shootings in Canada? Are there mass shootings even in
I
Canada?
don't think so. And obviously, he doesn't know that bear attacks are up this year.
Yeah, bear attack.
Because they don't have guns.
That's probably it. It's
Right.
like lots of bears, lots of attacks. Like, what are we going to do when those bears start attacking? Recently, again, we have seen too many examples of horrific tragedies involving firearms. Again, the trigger for Trudeau's war on firearm rights in Canada started with mass shootings in the U.S., not Canada. Though it might not be far-fetched to point out that the Prime Minister and regular attendees of the World Economic Forum took a sudden strong interest in gun control not long after the enormous trucker convoy protest against Canada's draconian attempts at vaccine
How did
passport
that end?
laws.
Did we ever hear? How
I don't remember now. It
just died out.
It just
Yeah.
fizzled, I think. The trucker protests inspired widespread dissent in Canada, and the refusal of freight workers to comply could have paralyzed the country's supply chain. This led to an attack campaign by the government and mainstream media seeking to portray anti-passport movement as terrorists, simply for not wanting what they felt was a suspect mRNA cocktail injected in their bodies. Does this sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds similar to what our government has been pushing against the anti-vax terrorists here in the United States.
Yeah.
As pharma giant Pfizer recently admitted under oath, they never tested the vaccine to see if it prevents transmission. Fantastic. We missed that part.
Yeah, I know. That seems like a major thing.
A realization that noncompliance was far more prevalent than the establishment assumed resulted in numerous bizarre narratives and legislative action in the U.S. and Canada in an attempt to suffocate rebellion. Gun control has been consistently broached as a primary goal of the same people that were desperate to enforce mandates and passports requirements but failed. It's unlikely that this is pure coincidence. So it sounds like he's just cracking down hard,
Right.
similar to what's going on here. Cracking down on the right pretty hard.
Yeah.
But this is like a step further than anything they've done here yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yet.
Well,
I can't put it
Like I
past
said,
them.
I can't see that flying at all here.
Oh,
I-
it won't fly.
no.
They'll try. I see them trying.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden's been out on Twitter saying that he wants to bring back the assault weapons ban of the 90s. So it's probably going to come down, and it's probably not going to be met with the same niceness that Canadians are presenting here.
Well, but I mean, to be fair, we don't know what Canada's doing about it. I mean, we haven't seen what their reaction is. I can't imagine it's going over well.
Says Canada is one of the few countries in the world with gun access on a wide scale similar to the U.S., though permits are still required, making firearms more of a privilege than a right. Trudeau is hell-bent on whittling away Canadian gun ownership and seems to be following a model similar to the UK. The UK banned the majority of guns, starting with handguns and then incrementally restricting the rest. So we got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
Do you think the Canadians are going to revolt? You think the truckers are going to come back?
I can see the truckers coming back. Again, and with it's not like it went through Parliament. It was his executive decision. So
yeah.
I can't understand why this guy's still in office.
Yeah, how is this guy still a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing good has come out of this guy's mouth.
No. And again, like you said, I mean, are Canadians really that compliant that they're just like,
I mean, maybe they just slowly gotten to the point, like they were eased towards compliance a little more than Americans. Like Americans were just kind of forced in their face during COVID, and they didn't expect, I don't think, so many to push back and be like, fuck no, we're not going to do that. And so it's a little bit harder here. I feel like maybe theirs has been stretched over a little bit longer time. I mean, give it a few years. We'll be there too. So we got to push, though. We got to move on. Shitty things and stupid people. Speaking of mass shootings, though, Alex Jones can't catch a break to save his life.
Yeah, last we heard he had to pay $1 billion.
$1 billion, and I had said then that sounds like a very made-up number for a defamation lawsuit. It's just like, yeah, do you know what? We're just going to hit him hard. We're going to slap him with, I don't know, what sounds reasonable. $1 billion. $1 billion. So, and I had said then, I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense. But
for a single individual. It's not like it's a country, right?
Right, or a corporation or something like that. But what I had said then was, I lost my train of thought. That's what I said then.
Yes.
Excuse me. Basically, it's just like he's never going to be able to afford
Oh,
that.
yeah, right.
But I think it was the judge or one of the lawyers or something was like, well, we're seeking this because not only do we want to ruin him now, but we want to make sure that he is not able to rebuild in the future. It's like, we just want to fucking ruin his life forever.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Absolutely.
Well, that made up number of $1 billion wasn't made up enough.
Yeah.
So now Sandy Hook families are seeking, what do you think it is? $2.75 trillion in
That's
damage.
insane.
There is not a human on the world. Well, I can't say that. There's not a human that we know of
Yeah.
that we have their financial records of. There might be, I don't know, maybe the Rothschilds or something
Right.
might have that much money, but we don't know how much they
Right.
have. But this is so
More
bizarre.
money than probably 95% of the countries in the world.
Yes. I mean, yes, the U.S. debt. I mean, this doesn't even compare to the U.S.
Well,
debt,
yeah.
but I remember back in high school, we were like at $5 trillion in U.S. debt, and they're seeking half of that on Alex Jones. It's like, where does that number fucking come from?
Right, yeah.
Like, how do you...
And who does it go to?
The families?
Yeah, but there's what 170 families maybe?
Yeah, they're all going to be multi-billionaires.
That's crazy.
Says perhaps out of sheer necessity for his mental well-being, Alex Jones was defiant as ever following the verdict against him in his latest defamation case. So he obviously was defiant.
Oh, well, yeah.
He got slapped with $1 billion lawsuit.
He's like, I'm not paying that.
You know he did. A jury recently ordered Jones to pay the families of victims of the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting and an FBI agent included in their suit an unfathomable $965 million. In the wake of that verdict, Jones took to the air on InfoWars to not only denounce the judgment, but to ensure viewers that its absurdity only aided his case on appeal.
Apparently not.
Yes. While portraying the ruling as absurd will only ruffle the feathers of opponents of Jones amidst their latest victory lap on the crusade to push cancel culture, the families of victims who sued the maligned political commentator made the assertion hard to disagree with, claiming that the highest possible punitive damage are the only thing that can keep Jones from continuing to harm them. The families who sued InfoWars founder asked Connecticut judge presiding over the defamation suit to award them $2.75 trillion in damage. To contextualize how obscene the request is, only 7 countries in the world exceed a GDP of $2.75 trillion.
That's insane.
I mean, is this reasonable? Is there, like,
No.
how much damage could any person possibly do to you
Yeah.
that's worth $2.75 trillion? And, like, when you go to the judge and present this request, how does the judge just not laugh his ass off?
yeah.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It's like, go back and try something. Like, you're wasting my time here.
Yeah,
This
right.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. Give me a real number.
The basis of family claims relies upon the judicial interpretation of Connecticut's Unfair Trade Practice Act. That law bars the sale of products using false statements. That's what they're going off of. Not defamation, but selling based on falsehood.
That's dumb.
The family invoked that law by asserting that Jones claims about Sandy Hook aided the sale of supplements and other merchandise he sells and regularly advertises on InfoWars.
That
I don't
seems-
think his
that's
claims
reaching.
I don't think his claims on Sandy Hook
Yeah.
helped him sell his
Right.
super Vegemin
Vegemite?
product.
Oh, that yeah.
His
No, I
super
don't think so
his
either.
super pills.
Yeah.
I think he just already sold them, and he talked about Sandy Hook,
Yeah.
and they just
Nobody
kind of
put 2 and 2 together.
predicating their claim on the legal argument. The families reached the $2.75 trillion by imploring the judge multiply the $5,000 fine set by the law to the 550 million exposures that. Oh, I see. So the law says, you get fined $5,000 for false advertising or selling products using false statements.
Okay.
And he has reached 550 million
Oh,
viewers. So you
gotcha.
got to take the 5,000 times 550 million.
5.55 million.
And that's
Gotcha.
how they came up with this absurd $2.75
Gotcha.
trillion dollars. It says In the wake of the shoot, it says the previous $965 million ruling against Jones was entirely based on a jury decision. So that was based on nothing. That was
Right.
just a
That was just the
that
jury.
was a made up number.
Yeah, the
They're
jury
like,
was like, "Hey, this sounds good." So then they're like, "But if you take the 5,000," and then the judge is like, "Oh yeah, that makes a good point."
the jury's like, well, $1 billion sounds good, and
Yeah.
they're like, nah, they're not good. It's like when you post something, you don't
Yeah.
post it at $10,000, you post it at $9,999 because it looks cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like if you just come to the judge and say $1 billion,
Right.
he's gonna probably shut you down. But if you come at $965 million, apparently he takes
Yeah.
it. In support of the monetary claim, attorneys of families continue their assault on Jones by continuing to portray his mere existence as a continued threat to the well-being of their clients.
Wow.
They just want him to fucking kill himself.
Yeah, they do. That's what they're pushing him towards.
Alex Jones perpetrates this attack for one reason: greed, the family lawyers said in the filing Friday. Alex Jones will never treat them like real people because they are too valuable to him as targets. Although the CUTPA was originally passed in order to compensate those directly harmed by deceptive practice in the marketing and sales of products, the application of the law has since been expanded to directly aid the legal case pursued by families of victims of Sandy Hook. In 2019, the Connecticut Supreme Court overruled a state appeal court by deciding that that law could be cited in a case those families fledged against Remington, the firearms manufacturers, who they sought to hold liable for the school shooting. How did they use that
Yeah,
against
because there's no
Remington?
false advertising in that.
Yeah, it wasn't like, these guns are great for Sandy Hook-style mass killings.
Right.
Or, there was...
Yeah.
Like, how do they use that same law? It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Anyways, it just goes on and on and on. Remington reached a settlement of $73 million. As sum was agreed upon... God, get the fuck out of here. Was agreed upon after Remington originally offered $33 million as a settlement.
So they want Alex Jones to come on his knees crying and be like, I can't do this. How about I give you guys $20 million apiece, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that, and basically want him basically to beg.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, yeah, okay, but you can't never say anything ever again.
Right. The monetary claim is another chapter in a tome of tales chronicling attempts to plunge InfoWars into financial ruin, said Alex Jones' attorney. He argued that the provisions of the law don't fit his client's defamation case and went on to detail how his opposition's arguments weren't rooted in facts, but instead on a pathological approach to effectively nullify the jury by vilifying Jones. Yeah, it's all made up.
Yeah, they just want to destroy him.
It's hilarious. It's hilariously made up, and the judge is just going along with everything
absolutely.
for the most part.
He doesn't care.
I mean, I can't imagine that he approves this and it's like, yeah, it's $275 trillion or $2.75 trillion. That's reasonable. We definitely should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, you're just gonna get nothing. Yeah. Even I said that with $1 billion. It's like Alex Jones doesn't have $1 billion to give you. So,
yeah, they just want to make sure again that he is ruined. That I mean, if he admits to this, his reputation is totally destroyed. And he has to close down his InfoWars and disappear into nothingness, and that's what they want.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's that they want him to effectively kill himself in some way,
absolutely,
whether literally or figuratively.
Yeah.
They want him suicided. So
and this is
it's to send a message.
It is. That's exactly it. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, whether or not what he said was true or false or what have you, it doesn't fucking matter. They're just sending a message like, don't question the narratives.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get really bad judgments against you
forever
in eternity. Good God, I've heard of like the Bernie Madoffs of the world that completely fucked over so many people. Don't get judgments of this proportion tagged on them. And then Alex Jones comes out. Yeah, he might have said some stupid shit. And it might have made the families go through some serious shit. And maybe he should pay something.
Yeah.
But this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is utter insanity. It's it's comical. It's not even like I'm not even like pissed when I read that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
It's a circus is all it turns into now. Once you get judgments like that or proposals like that, it's just like this whole judicial system is just turning into a circus that the
Well,
rest
it
of the
is,
country
but
is.
I mean, they're weaponizing it,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, it sets precedent. So, again, like you said, anybody who questions any narrative, I mean, if someone questions the vaccine narrative, right, and then somebody dies,
Mhm.
People come out against you,
Right.
right?
Well, this segues because you're talking about questioning the narrative, so I'll
Sure.
move to this one here. This article has come up across my feed a couple times this week, or just since yesterday, and it's piqued my interest because I don't know what's going on with this. Apparently, an ABC News producer, his home was raided by the FBI back in April,
Mhm.
and it caused him to immediately resign from ABC. I mean, he's a high up producer, like an
Yeah.
Emmy-winning producer, and he just immediately resigns and nobody at ABC has seen or heard from him since. I don't think he's like disappeared
Right.
because his lawyers come out and gave a few statements, but it's
Hmm.
really weird.
Hmm.
Like what would be so dramatic that the FBI would raid this guy's house
Yeah.
and then for him to just immediately stop
Right.
everything, end everything. Like all the projects he was working on, he's like
Hmm.
he's canceled them all, everything.
That
Like
sounds like some China shit.
yeah. So this is from Rolling Stone. It says FBI raids star ABC News producer's home, and again, this was back in April. So it's weird that it's coming to light right now. Says at a minute before 5 a.m. on April 27th, ABC News James Gordon Meek fired off a tweet with a single word: facts. He was just responding to something about the Ukraine military assistance or something. It says the network's national security investigation producer was responding to former CIA agent Mark Polyamouropoulos. Why is there so many Greek names in the freaking media realm?
I don't know.
He's talking to that guy. I guess that's not even media. That was a CIA guy.
Oh, okay.
Responding to his take that the Ukrainian military, with the assistance of the U.S., was thriving against Russian forces. The guy, I'm not going to keep trying to butcher his name.
The CIA guy.
The CIA guy tweeted, filled with acronyms indecipherable to the layperson like TTP, UW, and EW, was itself a reply to a missive from the Washington Post Pentagon reporter Dan Lamoth, who noted the wealth of information the U.S. military had gathered about Russian ops by observing their combat strategy in real time. So basically, the U.S. is like, well, this isn't such a bad thing because we have been able to monitor and their combat tactics, and we've been able to figure out like how they fight and stuff like that. So this isn't really a bad thing for us. It's kind of a win for us. Says the interchange illustrated the interplay between the national security community and those who cover it. And no one straddled both worlds quite like Meek, an Emmy-winning deep dive journalist who also was a former senior counterterrorism advisor and investigator for the House of Homeland Security Committee. To his detractors within ABC, Meek was something of a military fanboy, but his track record of exclusives was undeniable, breaking the news of foiled terrorist plots in New York City and the Army's cover-up of the fratricidal death of PFC Dave Sherritt II in Iraq, a bombshell that earned Meek a face-to-face meeting with President Obama. With 9 years at ABC under his belt, a buzzy Hulu documentary poised for Emmy attention, and an upcoming book on the military's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, the 52-year-old bear of a man seemed to be at the height of his power and the pinnacle of his profession. So I guess he was getting ready to write a book about our shitty Afghanistan. Maybe that's what got their attention. They're like, you can't say this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so this is very, very intensive, or like in-depth article.
Yeah.
So basically, I'll break it down for you because we're running out of time. So the rumor is that they found, or he had classified information on his laptop, and they seized the laptop with classified information, and that's what this whole thing surrounds. And his lawyer response was basically, why are you raiding his house for this classified information? Why aren't you looking for the government source that gave him the classified information in the first place instead of raiding his? So they think it's more of like a shut him the fuck up, like stop, like go after the guy that's talking too much.
And so maybe they're putting pressure on him, trying to get him to release his source.
That, or they're just trying to make another example on the media for especially something like the Afghanistan.
And that's some scary shit right there, because the media, anymore really doesn't hold the government accountable.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody who is, military fanboy or not, information that they feel is dangerous, I mean, that's kind of scary that the FBI is going in, raiding his home, taking his shit, and you don't hear from the guy anymore.
So, says the first thing Meek's neighbor, John Antonelli, noticed that morning was the black utility vehicle with blacked out windows blocking traffic in both directions on Columbia Pike.
That's always a red flag.
Yeah. Says he inched closer to get a better vantage when he saw an olive green Lenco Bearcat G2, an armored tactical vehicle often employed by the FBI, among other law enforcement agents. So they went out guns blazing, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like, what was this guy doing that required that kind of a raid?
Yeah, they weren't even going covert.
No. Says Antonelli counted at least 10 heavily armed personnel in the group.
Jeez.
None bore anything identifying which agency was conducting the raid. After just 10 minutes, the operation inside the Sienna Park apartment complex, a 6-story upscale building with rents fetching about $2,000 to $3,000 a month, was over. They didn't stick around. They took off pretty quickly and headed west on Columbia Pike. Most people seeing the green vehicle would think it's some kind of a tank, but I knew it was a Lenco Bearcat. That vehicle is designed to be jumped out of so they can do a raid in that kind of time. It can return fire if they're being fired upon. Why? Why did it? What is on his laptop that requires this kind of serious... I mean, that to me sounds more like they're sending a message more than, let's find this guy's source. It sounds like, hey, we're going to send a quick message. You don't fuck with us because we'll send in the Bearcat.
Yeah, right.
Multiple sources familiar to the matter say Meek was the target of an FBI raid at Sienna Park Apartments, where he had been living on the top floor for more than a decade.
I mean, did they even have this kind of response when they went into Mar-a-Lago?
I don't know. I don't think it was quite that guns a-blazing.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
An FBI representative told Rolling Stone its agents were present on the morning of April 27th at the 2300 block of Columbia Pike, Arlington, Virginia, conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity. The FBI cannot comment further due to ongoing investigation. He's been charged with no crime, but independent observers believe the raid is among the first and quite possibly the first to be carried out on a journalist by the Biden administration. A federal magistrate judge in Virginia Eastern District Court signed off on the search warrant the day before the raid. If the raid was for Meek's records, U.S. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco would have to have had given her blessing, because there's apparently a new policy signed by the Biden administration that you can't seize journalist records and their papers and stuff unless some serious circumstances, and it has to be signed off by the attorney, the deputy attorney general or higher. So she had to be involved, or somebody higher than her. So this had to come from the very, very top. Yeah. So this is pretty serious. It sounds
What's this guy's name?
Meek, something Meek. Hang on. James Gordon Meek.
James Gordon Meek. Okay.
So I don't know what's going on. I tried looking into this. Basically, everybody is saying just this. They're just quoting this Rolling Stone article. Rolling Stone came out.
Yeah, because this is the first anybody's heard of it, and it was like April 22nd.
Says in the raid's aftermath, Meek has made himself scarce. None of his Sienna Park neighbors with whom Rolling Stone spoke to have seen him since, with his apartment appearing to be vacant. Sienna Park management declined to confirm that their longtime tenant was gone, citing privacy policies. Similarly, several ABC News colleagues who are accustomed to unraveling mysteries and cracking investigative stories tell Rolling Stone they have no idea what happened to him. So his top colleagues, like his closest workers, have no clue where he's at.
That's so bizarre.
He just up and resigned. He left his apartment, and he, as his coworker said he fell off the face of the earth, and people asked, but no one knew the answer. An ABC representative told Rolling Stone he resigned very abruptly and hasn't worked for us for months. So, and apparently Meek doesn't even know what the allegations are. Like,
Doesn't know why they came after him.
yeah, he says his lawyer said Meek is unaware of what allegations anonymous sources are making about his possession of classified documents. If such documents exist as claimed, this would be within the scope of his long career as an investigative journalist covering government wrongdoings. The allegations in your inquiry are troubling for a different reason. They appear to come from a source inside the government. It's highly inappropriate and illegal for individuals in the government to leak information about ongoing investigations. We hope the DOJ promptly investigates the source of this leak. So, like, why are you going after him? My client, shouldn't you be going after somebody else?
Yeah.
So, where is this guy? That's the real question. Like, is he safe? Is he really a criminal?
Yeah.
What made it necessary for them to go guns blazing, all like commando on his penthouse apartment to seize just a laptop? All that for a fucking laptop. Did they happen to be like, hey, man, we need your laptop?
Yeah.
Like, we have a warrant for your laptop. Or were they afraid he would erase all the information?
Yeah.
Like, what made him such a freaking dire threat? Did he have security guards at this penthouse apartment? What was such a threat that they needed such an armed force to go after a U.S. reporter?
Right, yeah.
That sounds kind of like in the communist Soviet Union type.
It sounds very China.
Yeah, China or like Soviet Union or like, I mean, even if this guy did steal, go out and steal classified information, it doesn't warrant this kind of response.
No, it almost sounds like, again, they're trying to track down a mole.
Yeah.
And they're going after this guy to kind of scare somebody out.
Scare the guy out of the woodwork.
Right. So James Gordon Meek. Okay.
Yes. So keep an eye out for that. If you have any more information on this or find some in the future, send it our way, because this is all I could find was people quoting this article. So
I'm gonna go down the rabbit trail with this one.
Yeah.
It's
so I'm
really
about to watch
interesting.
that documentary on Hulu too, and I'm hoping that book comes through, because if they did this to shut him up from releasing the book, that's really shitty.
Yeah, right.
And that's going to backfire really quick. Usually when you attack the media at such levels fucking Donald Trump would just be like, that guy's really, really bad. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's attacking the media. That's unconstitutional. They are protected by the Constitution. He can't do that. And then Biden's administration's like, attack, get him.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think they even had this kind of response against Trump in Mar-a-Lago, with those.
That would backfire on them so fast, though. If they went in guns blazing on Donald Trump, that would, that would be, that would be Fox News fodder. Like, they would love that.
He made enough of a shit show with that.
Right,
so.
exactly. So that's all the time we have for this week. Tell us all what you think about this shit. That's pretty scary there. That's scarier than the dirty bomb, I think, in Russia.
I think
to me,
so, too,
anyways.
Right.
When your government can just send in the freaking the brown shirts to hopefully I assume the guy's still alive if his lawyer hasn't come out and said, hey, they fucking killed him.
Yeah.
But this is pretty serious, and it's a scary message that they're sending to me.
Absolutely.
Truss resigning, I don't really care. It's just
it's odd.
It makes me want to grab my popcorn and watch UK politics more closely, because
it makes you wonder what, like you said, what are they doing? What do they got going on? Because her decision to lower taxes is not something that should make their economy go upside down.
I wouldn't think so, but it's Britain.
Right.
Then Justin Trudeau banning handguns. That's he's an
troubling,
idiot.
but that's Canada.
Yeah, he's an idiot. We saw that coming.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Oh, Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah.
That's just hilarious.
And again, we know what that is. They want to break them.
Yeah, exactly. So, comment section's always open. If you hear anything, especially about that James Gordon Meek guy, hit us up in the comments. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook forum called the Breaking the Bell Forum, where you can have more of a conversation, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Break the Bell Pod. I spend most of my time on Twitter these days, so hit me up there if you have any information or any questions or anything about this, because this story is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, check us out all over social media at Break the Bell Pod. Share it far and wide across the interwebs, because we love you, like I said, for that. And that's how we get our name out there to more and more people. So have a great rest of your weekend, whatever amount of hours you have left of
I'm
it.
going to go home and watch the Steelers play.
Hey, there you go. We'll go watch the Steelers lose. Be back here tomorrow night for the main live episode, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to have another banger. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know it's going to be good. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back, because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.